Hi, I'm Lindsay, the Greens candidate for Bennelong. I'm going to talk to you about the bigger picture issues, ones that will affect you and your friends and families and communities for a long time. We hear a lot about values from political parties like family values, Australian values and religious values. But I ask you, as a young person, think about the values that you think are really important. The Greens were started about 40 years ago by people concerned about the values that are common to all humanity: environmental sustainability, social and economic justice, grassroots democracy, and peace and non-violence. The Greens parties throughout the world are all founded on these values. Let's look at just a couple of issues. We all know now that global warming is a looming disaster that will be a catastrophe for most life forms on this planet. In Australia, we are already feeling the effects of it, with record droughts and bushfires. Global warming is going to be a lot worse for your generation and worse again for your children's generation. Each successive generation is going to find it harder and harder to live on this planet until we all cooperate and do what is required to cool it. Namely, use renewable energy rather than burn coal to generate electricity. Use public transport rather than cars and planes to get around. Shade and insulate our homes rather than use the air conditioner. Stop cutting down our forests. Consume less. Now there's a policy that you won't hear from the Liberals or Labor. But environmental sustainability is just one of the Greens' core values. Let's look at some social justice issues. When I went through uni, it was free. 4 years undergraduate and 6 years postgraduate. Sounds unbelievable now, doesn't it? In this mad ideology where everything has to be privatised and pay its own way, your generation is being saddled with huge HECS debts, and university or TAFE education is becoming less and less available to those who need it, and reserved for only those who are better off. The Greens see free public education as a central value and would abolish HECS completely. Let's look at transport. How much longer do you think we're going to be able to afford petrol for our cars? World oil production peaked 2 years ago and is now going down. About half the planet's oil is already used up. On the other hand, world demand for oil is growing rapidly. What's going to happen? Well, it doesn't take too much now to realise that the price of petrol is going to skyrocket in the next few years, and countries are going to fight over the remaining oil reserves. Iraq is a case in point, of course. Some European countries are already well on the way to weaning themselves off oil. So what's Australia doing? Investing in more roads, continuing crazy tax deductions for gas-guzzling four-wheel drives, and letting our rail network run down. The exact opposite of what we need to be doing. Finally, let's look at work choices. This is a really unjust system, giving employers the power to reduce your pay and conditions, rights that have been hard won over many years by workers collectively bargaining with their employers. Any negotiation between a single worker and a company is bound to be one-sided. The Greens would rip up work choices completely. In Australia especially, we enjoy a beautiful environment with a lot of freedoms. All this is becoming increasingly under threat by the rise of ultra-right-wing, selfish and short-sighted policies in both major parties. I encourage you to read more about what the Greens are on about and see if that strikes a chord with your own values. So, what's the best thing that I, as a Greens candidate, can do for you? Well, I can give you the chance to vote for a just and sustainable society, and a party that is aligned with the things you know are important.